Hello and welcome everyone. And today I have a special treat for you. We have a very special guest with us. I will be interviewing Buck Woody. Buck, welcome to South Africa.
Oh, thank you.
Really great to have you
Yeah, it's
here.
good to be here.
So what exactly are you doing in South Africa, Johannesburg, this week?
Yeah, we've been here. We're here for 2 weeks. We're in Johannesburg, and we're actually in Cape Town as well.
Right.
Now, when I say we, myself, Bob Ward, Anna, a lady on our team, Anna Hoffman, and a guy named Alain Dormel, who's actually from Johannesburg. Yeah, but he lives in Seattle now.
Right.
We're down here doing some training, and we attended the SQL Saturday and spoke at that. If you've never been to that event, really good, amazing people, 300 and something people that were at this thing. And then we're also doing some internal training. So we're teaching Microsoft people and partners how to use machine learning, SQL Server 2019,
Right.
big data clusters, Azure, all kinds of things. So we're here doing some enablement training, we call it, with our internal partners, our internal folks, and then even some customers.
And you get to see some lions.
I actually got to see some like the pet lion cub,
Right.
but it's only 3 months old. Apparently, they get older than that, they become a little dangerous.
Bit of a problem.
Yeah.
Awesome, right. So I think you've shown a lot of good content, SQL 2019,
Right.
as well as what we can do with machine learning.
Yeah,
and cloud.
we had a good time with that.
Any particular features that Microsoft's coming out with that you think will have a real impact?
Yeah, we met, Anna and myself are both data scientists, and we met with the AI school, which is a huge AI school here in Johannesburg. I was really impressed with it, and so many people came and got to talk with them. And a gentleman there asked a really interesting question. When I said, what are you doing here? And I said, well, we're teaching all this stuff, and we're from the SQL Server team. And he's like, why would you put machine learning in SQL Server? I mean, what most data scientists do is simply pull data out using R or Python or whatever they happen to use.
Right.
You're just using a connect statement. They pull the data out, they look at it, they do their data science, and then they're done. You don't usually put data back in a database. It's more often to use the data. Well, that's fine. And he said, well, why have it in SQL then? What's the advantage?
Yeah.
I mean, why even bother? Well, it's an interesting question and a fair one. Then the answers are equally interesting. Whenever I pull data out as a data scientist into my Jupyter notebooks, or maybe I'm using RStudio or something, what I end up doing is pulling all that data over the network and to my local workstation and trying to work with it. Now I have to have a huge workstation to be able to do all that because R does a lot of things in memory and so on.
Yeah.
Not only that, I've buried the network while I was grabbing all that data. Now when I need to grab it again, I do it again and again and again, and I keep pulling that data. Not only that, that data is now on my laptop.
Right.
And I may not be comfortable with leaving my laptop in the car, or I mean, how many of us have had our identities stolen, right? So it's better to leave the data where it is and to do what you always do in computing, which is put compute over data. That's the right thing to
You
do.
mentioned that, and that sounds like the key phrase.
It is,
Always
right?
remember.
Yeah. And so the things that does for me is my SQL Server is a pretty big box. So now I don't have to have a pretty big box.
Right.
I can let it have the big box. The data stays in the database and the work is done there. So now there's no security problem. And interestingly enough, if I need to work with data, they can give me some dummy data so I can play around my laptop and say, okay, here's the code I want. And now run that code. And I don't ever have to see the real data.
Yes.
And it can run across all that real data, HR data, things the data scientist is not supposed to see.
Yes.
And I'm able to do my predictive work and my classification work in the database. Not only that, we've got all kind of optimizations inside the database. I'm not moving it across the network. I'm never leaving the security boundary. It's actually, you wonder, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So how people have a look at that R and Python in SQL Server?
Would they like to know where they can find that out?
I think let's
Let me tell
mention
you what this is. Yeah, so it's aka.ms/SQL workshops. So that's aka.ms/SQL workshops. Lots of really good content there. Python for the data professional, R for the data professional, machine learning for the data professional, and so on, all free.
Yeah. Should we just touch on Polybase as well before we move on?
Fascinating technology. So often we'll have to create applications that need to talk to multiple data sources, and so we'll have to make a connection to this one, a connection to that one, a connection to the other one, and then we bring them back locally in what's called a data bag if you're programming in like C# or something, and you put it all together, and then you do link queries or something trying to get all that into one place. Or we use extract, transform, and load, ETL, to suck the data from all over the place into SQL Server. Well, we've introduced a new technology inside SQL Server. We've improved a technology, and we've introduced one with Polybase.
Yeah.
We've had it for a while, but it was fairly limited and so on. But that's all changed. In SQL 2019, what you have now is the ability, and this is kind of wild, to create a external table inside your SQL Server database that looks like a SQL Server table. There's no data in it, and it points, with no client software on your side, to Oracle, Teradata, HDFS, all kinds of sources, other SQL servers, and so on.
Yeah.
Then when you query that table with T-SQL, it goes down, pushes the language down to the source system, brings back just the results. So I don't have to write PL SQL. I don't have to write MapReduce. I don't have to write Teradata statements. I don't have to write API, Gremlin API, or anything like that to go get Mongo data. And it all comes back, and I can join it all with the database internally. And so it becomes this one place. And once again, I don't leave the security boundary and so on. And I'm only bringing back the data that changes. So I don't have to ETL anymore. I can simply query.
Can we call it a game changer for virtualization? Data
You know, my customers that are using this that I deal with are calling it a data hub.
Okay.
There was one gentleman I worked with in the US who had a large system he had purchased from a company that did this sort of thing. And it was expensive, and it was about to come up for renewal. And when I showed him this, he's like, so I can just do all of that in here? And I'm like, yeah, it's just built in.
Yeah.
And he tried it. You know, I don't believe you. So he tried it, and he's like, that's my data hub.
Awesome. So I think those features alone that we've just covered are so exciting. Before we wrap up, though, I know you're very passionate about community. We did do the School of AI.
Yes, sir.
And we've got things like DigiGirls.
Yes, sir.
What's your view? It's very exciting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm a bit older. I'm very old, and it took me a long time to become a data scientist. Statistics and programming and big data. It took me a very long time over my career in IT. I started back on mainframes, right? So over my career in IT, I finally ended up as a data scientist because that's what they call it now. There's a young lady on our team, an amazing person, Anna Hoffman, who is a data scientist as well. She's quite young. She went to university and all that, and she talked about her journey about literally putting in the work and following her passion of becoming this. And she started in a program called DigiGirls, which is an outreach Microsoft has for technology to young ladies. And it turns out here in Johannesburg, I speak at the DigiGirls events all the time. They have camps, you know, they have a day-long coding camp and so on. And it turns out that Johannesburg has a huge presence. And I was unaware that it was so big here, and it's so wonderful. But Anna started out in DigiGirls at 14, and here she is, you know, older in Microsoft after college and after getting a couple of jobs and coming here. Now she's in the same place I am, decades before I ever got there, because she followed her passion and she just put in the work. She's a very hard worker. So DigiGirls is a great place to get started. Highly recommend it.
I think it's one of the better success stories that we've seen.
Yeah.
Just to wrap up then, future of data science. I mean, this is the area that excites so many people.
Yeah.
We're going to do amazing things for society and industry. Mm-hmm. Where are we going?
So I think what you'll see is we'll stop talking about it.
Right.
Because it's just going to be in everything. Most of your listeners are probably not old enough to remember that back in the day, everything was E this or E that or I this or I that when the internet came out, or, you know, electronic this or electronic mail. We don't really say that anymore. You don't even think about it, right? Yeah. And I think right now we're saying, oh, this has AI in it. But what people don't realize is the pros feature inside of Excel. If you just go into Excel and you're typing in things and you say make a bunch of those, and it figures out what you did, that's actually from Microsoft Research. That's an AI construct in Excel. It's just going to be baked into everything, and you won't know it's there. Yeah. We'll move, I think, from creating your own API where you have design algorithms and come up with all these things to where you'll just leverage AI that's already built, and then you'll use what's called a pre-built AI. That's our cognitive services at Microsoft, where you simply send it an image and say, what is that? And it'll come back and say, well, I'm this % certain that's a picture of Bill Gates at a water fountain in Italy. Yeah. And it's right, you know? So you just use those. So people will not have to become data scientists. They'll simply use data science, and we'll just see it bake itself into everything.
I can't wait personally. Buck, it's been so good having you in South Africa. I think you've made a big impact this week.
Oh, that's very nice.
At some of the sessions we've done. Come back anytime. You headed off to Cape Town after this?
Yes, sir.
And then back to the US?
Back to the US, and we're doing Dallas, Texas, the same thing that we're doing here, and then I'm off to Toronto, Canada to do the same thing. And then shortly after that, I'll be in Munich, Germany, and then back in Seattle for a little while as well, and then in my hometown in Florida.
Okay, so if you're looking, if you're watching this and you enjoyed our chat, look out there for Buck Woody coming to a city near you, I would say. So that's it from us for today, guys. We hope you enjoyed our little chat, and we'll see you again quite soon.